The Isle of Man TT Marshals Association Limited, from here on called the TTMA, welcomes you to this DVD, which will provide you with the minimum level of information you require in order to marshal on the TT course. This DVD is intended as a guide to the conduct and safety of marshals, as well as giving an insight into the various duties you may perform. Please remember that this DVD was filmed at one location and is therefore not representative of the TT course as a whole. You will see, for example, that the demonstration of the rider being black flagged is not the sort of location that would be used during a practice or race, but it is there to show you the procedures. When the concept of the TT races first started, the number of marshals and their training was not very high on the list of priorities, but that was many years ago, and since then things have changed dramatically. Nowadays the emphasis is all about safety, the safety of marshals, spectators and competitors, with risk assessments, health and safety policies, minimum manning, duty of care and training all on the agenda. The TTMA strongly encourage all marshals to attend one of their full-day incident management courses, which are designed to give more in-depth training than is available on this DVD. The course is free to all marshals or prospective marshals. Remember, your own safety is of paramount importance at all times. It is essential when marshalling that you're well prepared for your duties. Remember to include high protection sunblock as well as clothing for bad weather, as conditions may change dramatically quite quickly. Bring a good supply of food and drink, remembering that sessions can run on for longer than you may anticipate. Do not wear shorts or sandals. Wear stout footwear and clothes which offer protection in case you need to deal with a hot motorcycle or indeed a fire. Remember that marshals are not allowed to carry cameras or consume alcohol whilst on duty. Remember your Tetra radio if you're responsible for it. You may also wish to bring a radio to listen to the race commentary. Always wear your high-vis tabard and armband with warrant card whilst on duty. It's a good idea to put these on whilst travelling to your location. You must not remove them until the roads are open. Always plan to arrive at your point prior to road closure, leaving plenty of time to prepare for your duties. Once you're at your marshalling location, make sure you know the whereabouts of all the equipment you may need. Scoop stretcher with headrest, immediate care case, fire extinguisher, brushes and dust, and who has the Tetra radio, as well as the positions of the marshals with flags adjacent to you in both directions, and the location of your helicopter landing site. The fire extinguisher should be inverted and gently shaken to loosen the contents, and check the gauges in the green area. Any problems with any of the equipment, contact your Chief Sector Marshal or Race Control. Once all the marshals are present, the Deputy Sector or Senior Marshal present should allocate duties so that in the event of an incident, everyone can work as a team and you all know what you're doing. If you do not feel confident with what you're being asked to do, you should say so at this time. Before any practice or a race, make sure you clear any debris from your section of the course. But remember to display the necessary yellow warning flags when anyone is on the course, as there may be travelling marshals or other authorised traffic coming round. Ensure prohibited areas are completely clear of people and vehicles, and that the only people in restricted areas are race officials, marshals, police officers in the course of their duty, or other people or vehicles approved by the clerk of the course. And make sure warning signs are visible. Once again, if you have any problems, contact Race Control via Tetra radio. The Deputy Sector or Senior Marshal should contact your Chief Sector Marshal via Tetra radio to inform them that the checklist is complete, that you are fully manned and ready for the practice or start of race.
Governor's approach flag from Governor's approach. Radio check. Over.
Governor's approach flag, reading you loud and clear. Over.
Chief Sector Marshal from Governor's approach. Over.
Governor's approach from Chief Sector Marshal. Go ahead. Over.
Just to let you know, the checks are all made and everybody is in position and we're ready to go. Over.
Thanks for that, Governors. Chief Sector Marshal out.
Once a practice session is underway, marshals should be vigilant and observe each passing machine and rider for any problems that may need reporting to race control. Anything loose on a machine or a machine smoking could signify oil is being lost. This needs to be reported to race control and also to the rest of your sector, who can then observe the machine as it passes their location. Listening to your Tetra radio will keep you informed of what's going on in the rest of your sector. Shortly after this practice session begins, the clerk of the course instructs these marshals to display a red flag. The practice has been stopped due to bad visibility on the mountain. The appropriate flags are displayed and the riders stop at the red flag, where the marshals direct them to a safe holding area until race control gives authority for them to return to the grandstand. During another practice session, a rider has been reported as having a problem, and race control have requested for him to be black flagged. The appropriate flags and blackboard are displayed as the required rider approaches, and the nominated rider stops so his machine can be examined by the travelling marshal. Whilst this is being done, a marshal times the procedure in case there is no problem, and it's safe for the rider to continue, in which case his time will be credited. Halfway through the following evening's practice session, there is an incident. A rider loses control and falls from his machine. The marshal, with a Tetra radio, immediately pushes the orange emergency button on top of the radio. This alerts race control. The marshal requests the necessary flags are displayed and informs race control of the location of the incident, the nature of the emergency, and if air med is required.
Rider off at Governor's approach. Air med required. Over.
Governor's approach from race control. Air med has been scrambled to your location.
The other marshals gather their equipment, but before they move, they let the dust settle to make sure the warning flags have been displayed and that the other riders are slowing down as they approach the incident site. Remember to maintain awareness for your own safety at all times. Once it's safe to proceed, the marshals take their equipment to the incident, making sure that they can be seen by approaching riders. The travelling marshal, having been mobilised by race control, is now at the scene. He's sent to assist the marshals at an incident. The marshals in the vicinity of the incident will monitor the progress on their Tetra radios, maintaining the correct yellow flags to protect the incident site. The green flag is displayed after the site to signify the road is now clear. The rider is attended to by the marshals and the travelling marshal. They work as a team and only use the equipment and procedures that they've been trained to use. Hands-on practical training of all these procedures is available at an incident management course and ensures that everyone knows what to do and the correct way to do it. The casualty is log-rolled onto the scoop stretcher and transported to the nearby helicopter landing site to await the arrival of the Air Med helicopter. Notice that all this is done on a live course, with other riders passing the incident site. Details of the rider's number and, in practice, plate colour, together with its condition, are passed to race control via Tetra during the incident. The bike is removed to a safe position off the course by two marshals. Working together ensures that they don't injure themselves while lifting or moving a bike. They wear gloves to protect themselves from anything hot or sharp. If there is a loss of oil or fluids, this needs to be lightly dusted with the absorbent dust supply. Do not use too much cement. Only put down as much as is necessary to soak up the oil or fluid and then brush it clear. If there is debris on the course, this also needs to be removed. Many parts will be extremely hot and will burn you. Carbon or glass fibre can be razor sharp, so always wear gloves to pick up these pieces. If you do not have gloves, kick or brush them to the side of the road until somebody with gloves can remove them. Keep an extinguisher handy in case it's needed. Remember that all warning flags displayed for an incident must continue to be displayed until all marshals are clear of the course. If you still have a problem with oil or fluids, it may be necessary to display the lack of adhesion flag until the end of the session. Remembering to keep any flags in use displayed until the road's open car has passed. Once the incident is clear and the flags have been withdrawn, inform race control via Tetra.
Race control, just to inform you, all flags are in and the incident is cleared. Over.
Thanks for that, Governor's Approach. Race control out.
Finally, remember to complete an incident report form to pass to your Chief Marshal. Remember, your own safety is of paramount importance at all times. Never enter the course for any reason unless it is safe to do so and the appropriate warning flags are being displayed. For those who are currently registered marshals, we hope this DVD helps you to carry out your duties. For those new to marshalling, we trust it will give you a valuable insight into the role for which you're volunteering. Stationary yellow. Danger, slow down, no overtaking. Waved yellow. Imminent danger, slow down, no overtaking, be prepared to stop. It should be waved continuously in a figure-of-8 motion. Riders are subject to yellow flag restrictions until they pass a green flag. Green. The course is clear to resume racing, only to be displayed after either of the yellow flags. Lack of adhesion. Black flag with orange disc. Shown together with a blackboard showing competitor's number and in practice plate colour. That rider must stop. Mechanical problem. Sun or S. Beware of sun dazzle. Visibility or V. Beware of reduced visibility. Red flag waved. Stop racing and pull in where safe at that location. It must be waved continuously in a figure-of-8 motion. This flag must only be displayed following the direct instruction from the clerk of the course. Do not display this flag unless you've been instructed to do so. All flags must also be shown to the travelling marshals and all other course vehicles. Flags must be handheld, never stuck in a hedge. Inform race control of any rider who disobeys a flag signal. Inform race control when any flag is displayed and again when it's taken in.
If there's an incident at a location where you're marshalling, you may be required to assist with the AirMed helicopter. The following guidelines will help prepare you for that task. Before you have any contact with the aircraft, you should familiarise yourself with the following points. There are 3 main danger areas to be aware of: the main rotor blades, the exhaust outlets, and there's one on each side of the aircraft, and the tail rotor. The main rotor blades are a serious danger and in certain conditions can dip down below head height. Pilots will not give permission to approach or depart in dangerous conditions. And this is the reason you never approach or depart the aircraft until you have clearance from the pilot that it is safe to do so. The tail rotor rotates at high speed and in some cases cannot be seen and is extremely dangerous. The exhausts operate at over 700 degrees centigrade and are hard to see. You must use great caution in the vicinity of the exhausts and turning rotor blades, and you must never go near the rear of the helicopter. Once you've requested AirMed, there must be no smoking around the landing site or near the aircraft once it has landed. If for any reason you need to get from one side of the aircraft to the other, you must always walk round the front where the pilot can see you. Never duck under the tail. All door opening and closing on the helicopter must be left to the travelling marshal or the helicopter crew. You must never try to access the helicopter's side lockers. This must be done by the helicopter crew or the travelling marshal. You must comply with any request or instruction given by the travelling marshal or the helicopter crew. To facilitate the load and go policy, AirMed will be loaded with the rotors running, but this has not been shown in this demonstration. There are 2 stretcher bunks within the helicopter. If there are 2 casualties, the one with the worst injuries will go on the top. The helicopter crew will advise you which casualty should go where. The rider's helmet must always go with him and is placed in front of the stretchers in the nose of the aircraft. There are some locating clips on the scoop stretcher and the bunk, and these, together with the safety straps, can cause a snagging hazard. The stretcher needs to be lifted high enough to clear these when it's being loaded. When AirMed has been scrambled to your location, a marshal should ensure that the landing site is clear. Even if there are no spectators, check that no debris has been left or blown into the area. If there are spectators around the edges of the landing area, ask them to leave immediately, explaining why, and make sure they take all their belongings with them, including their children. Explain to spectators the dangers of flying object damage and advise them not to look towards the aircraft. Make sure all loose items are secured and cannot be blown onto the course, including your own headgear. Remember, no smoking, and make sure all cigarettes are properly extinguished. Some marshalling locations have only one landing site available to them, and for these there is no need to signal the aircraft where you want it to land. There are many others where there may be several options. Marshals should ask themselves, if a rider came off here, where could the helicopter try to land to be as near to the incident as possible? If you're looking for a suitable site, there are a number of points to take into account. The site needs to be as large as you can find, the bigger the better, with no adjacent power lines, obstructions or trees. It needs to have as little slope as possible and no tall vegetation that could obscure uneven ground or hazards. Your colleagues may remember where the aircraft has landed in the past. If you're designated to signal to AirMed, you need to stand in the middle of the proposed landing site with your arms held aloft. When AirMed starts to make its approach, move quickly away towards the casualty. It's not always easy for the helicopter crew to see from the air where the casualty is, so your moving towards the casualty will alert them to the direction of the incident. But don't try to marshal the helicopter further, as your signal could be misunderstood. Also be aware, if you're signalling to the aircraft, that the pilot may have seen some obstruction or may know something that you don't, so he may choose not to land in the area you are signalling in. Do not be offended by this. Safety must come first. As the aircraft makes its final approach, the rotor downwash creates a sudden 80-mile-an-hour wind at about 20 to 30 feet, so be aware of the potential for injury and avert your eyes from any possible flying debris. Make sure, if you're wearing a hat, that it has been removed prior to the aircraft landing. Hopefully, your casualty will already have been secured onto the scoop stretcher and be at the edge of the landing site. Once AirMed is on the ground, one of the helicopter medics will come to the casualty. The other one will unload your replacement scoop stretcher. If there is no doctor or paramedic at your marshalling post, you will need to pass on the details of the incident and the casualty's condition. Tell the helicopter medics everything you think they may need to know, especially whether the casualty was unconscious, even if they seem fine once AirMed has arrived. When you're ready to load the helicopter, make sure everyone is ready and lift together under the direction of the person at the casualty's head. Carry the stretcher with the casualty's feet first and use both hands. Remember, no hats and no smoking. You must only approach the aircraft from the 10 to 2 position and under the direction of the travelling marshal or a medic from AirMed. You should pause just outside the rotor disc, meaning the circle made by the rotating rotor blades. The person responsible for leading the marshals to the helicopter will then gain clearance from the pilot by giving the thumbs up sign and waiting for the thumbs up from the pilot to signify it's safe to approach. When approaching, keep your head low. The casualty is brought to the door of the aircraft in a wide arc and lifted in feet first, with the feet pointing towards the front. Remembering the snagging hazards that have to be avoided, the stretcher is lifted onto the bunk and slid into position. Once the casualty is in place, you should leave as soon as possible to the front of the helicopter, keeping your head low. Remember that the rider's helmet must go with him, but not the travelling marshal's helmet. You can get a replacement immediate care case, the orange box, if you've used the contents of yours. However, if the only item used was the cervical collar, you can replace just the collar and reseal your box. Tell the helicopter medics what you need. AirMed helicopters also carry 2 fire extinguishers, so if you need a replacement, ask for one from the aircraft.